As many of you know, Academy Award-nominated director John Singleton has been working on a Tupac Shakur biopic movie for some time, but it now appears he's off the project. According to reports, House of Cards and Homeland director Carl Franklin is stepping in to take over the project, with speculation that Singleton's departure was due to creative differences. John, do you buy or sell Franklin taking over Tupac from John Singleton?
I have no problem with Franklin. I mean, I like all the shows that he's participated in as a director, especially House of Cards. I think he got an Emmy nomination actually for his for one of the episodes he directed. I could be mistaken about that, but I think he did. No problem with that. But the thing about John Singleton is, not only was this kind of his passion project that he worked for a long time to try to get this going and working with Tupac's family and trying to get everything going, but he worked with Tupac. He directed Tupac before he knew him. And so that kind of made him, for a lot of different reasons, not just that one, but for many different reasons, I thought he was the right guy to direct it. So it's unfortunate that he's off. So I sell it overall, but that doesn't mean I don't think that in the hands of this new director, it can't still be really good. It absolutely could. But I thought for a lot of reasons, Singleton was the right guy to do it. So on that basis alone, I got to sell it. Mark?
I'm still going to buy the project because Singleton is a guy who he has such a singular vision as to what he wants to accomplish.
Singular vision.
He's
yes.
There's the pun. The guy's a straight shooter, and if something goes wrong, he doesn't want to be involved with it, and he'll stand up and tell you that right off the bat. So there's more than one way to tell a story about Tupac. I think this is very similar to the Edgar Wright leaving Ant-Man situation, where he had a way that he wanted to tell Ant-Man. It didn't jive with what the brain trust at Marvel wanted, and so they parted ways amicably, it seems. And I think this is the same kind of situation. There is a chance that John Singleton had been working on this for so long, and he did know Tupac. Maybe, and creative differences is such a loose term that it's hard to really define. Is it the way that they were going to tell the story? Is it the actor that they want to play Tupac? So I think that as long as you have somebody talented behind the camera who can direct the movie, and it seems like if you're coming from Homeland and House of Cards, you clearly have that ability. So the fact that John Singleton isn't doing it, it's a disappointment, but I can still buy the project.
I'm going to sell it only because there's quite a few red flags flaring around now. Like you were saying, creative differences is quite a broad term, but in the reports that they're putting through, it's major creative differences. And what I get from that is you've got John saying, I know who this man is. I can tell his story. As we were saying, he's the best guy for the job. And then when the studio is like, no, you got to, stick with us or leave. And he's going, okay, I'm out. That's never a good sign. And so now it's like we've got a new director coming on board to tell the story in another way, in a way that's not necessarily his creative vision. So he's like having to succumb to the needs of whatever it was that made John leave. Another thing that John was saying is like, if the movie doesn't work, then it impacts him forever. But the studio will live through it. It's just like, oh, well, it was just one flop that we have, moving on to the next project. But for John, it was like, no, this is something that I've poured my life and soul into. And if it doesn't work, that lives with me forever. So for him to kind of save his own reputation by moving away from this project, flag. So that's why I'm selling.
I can't agree with you on the whole thing that a studio just goes, oh, another flop, whatever. People lose jobs over flops. Studios care very much about every single $1 million that does or does not get made. There's nobody out there that wants this movie to be a financial success more than the studio does. They want it to be a success more than anybody else. But yeah, when you do hear about these creative differences, no matter what, it's got to throw flags up for everybody all around.
That was actually the feedback. I think John was quoted by saying that. The reasons why he left is like, you know what, no harm, no foul if they don't do it, but for me personally. So yeah, so I think that's his stance.